What happened in the first minutes after the dinosaurs disappeared? About 66 million years ago, at the end of the Cretaceous period, the planet lost its dinosaurs. This mass extinction is widely known to have been caused by a global catastrophe. But what happened immediately after the mass extinction? I decided to go back in time and see for myself. It turns out that everything was completely different from what we're used to thinking. Today, we're going to visit a planet that humans have not yet set foot on. A planet that was almost destroyed by a meteor strike. You'll discover which of the ancient inhabitants of Earth died immediately, who managed to survive, what climate changes they had to face, and how Earth recovered from such a monstrous disaster. At the end of the Mesozoic era, a huge asteroid or comet crashed into Earth. Scientists are still debating whether it was an asteroid or a comet. This celestial body was estimated to be between 11 to 80 kilometers, 7 to 50 miles in diameter, roughly the size of Washington, D.C. When one edge of the asteroid had already hit the ground, the other end was still higher than the flight path of a Boeing 747. Such a collision couldn't pass without leaving a trace. The asteroid left behind a giant crater, covering half of the Gulf of Mexico. The crater has a diameter of about 150 kilometers, 93 miles, and a depth of about 20 kilometers, 12 miles. This wasn't the first collision between our planet and a celestial body, but it became one of the largest. The world changed in an instant. The impact caused mega tsunamis over 100 meters, 330 feet high, that reached the areas of present-day Texas and Florida. Some sources indicate waves as high as 300 meters, 985 feet, the height of the Eiffel Tower, while others claim the first wave rose up to 1.5 kilometers, 0.9 miles, equivalent to 5 Eiffel Towers. The asteroid displaced so much water from the ocean that huge waves crashed on the coastline for 10 hours. If the impact had been deeper, the tsunamis would have been even taller. The explosion from the impact was about 100 million times more powerful than the largest thermonuclear bomb ever detonated, the Tsar Bomba. Forests within thousands of kilometers, hundreds of miles, were destroyed in just a second. Some scientists believe the explosion was equivalent to 100 trillion tons of TNT. It was enough to destroy coastlines, cause magnitude 12 earthquakes, and trigger landslides as far away as Argentina, which in turn caused new tsunamis. A real chain of horror impossible to survive if you were in its path. But this was only the beginning. The energy from the impact was enough to ignite the landscape within a radius of 1,500 kilometers, 930 miles. Even large dinosaurs like Diplodocus died. Those not hit by the explosion or fire were dragged away by the retreating waves. Tiny particles of rock and other fragments were thrown high into the atmosphere. Geologists later found these fragments worldwide because after being blown into the air, about 40 minutes later, the particles began to fall rapidly, like drops of hot glass. Their kinetic energy was equivalent to 20 million megatons of TNT, all converted into heat. Each falling particle turned into an incandescent lamp, quickly warming the atmosphere and turning Earth into a real hell. The vast majority of dinosaurs and many other terrestrial organisms were in the affected area. After avoiding a tsunami or earthquake, they likely died within a few hours from the intense heat. The previously forested planet almost instantly caught fire. About 75% of living things were destroyed, including any mammal weighing more than 25 kilograms, 55 pounds. Acid rain acidified the oceans. Half of the plant species died immediately or within a few hours. Soot from the fires, combined with dust from the impact, blocked the sun's rays, depriving Earth of sunlight for about a year, which significantly affected the climate. Eventually, even some plants that survived the initial impact died. However, life on our planet didn't stop. After the large herbivores died, carnivores followed. Water ecosystems were also devastated but not completely destroyed. For example, turtles and the ancestors of crocodiles managed to survive. Some researchers describe the post-impact environment as lunar, desolate, and barren. It was almost impossible to survive in such conditions, yet life continued. The first to recover were foraminifera, single-celled organisms that appeared in the crater a few years after the impact. Then came the ferns, which expanded and occupied almost all available space within a millennium. Large mammals faced different conditions due to the lack of food, leading only small animals, weighing no more than 600 grams, 1.3 pounds, to roam among the ferns. Flowering plants and nutritious seeds were rare. However, after 100,000 years, mammals began to return, resembling modern raccoons in size. Palm forests replaced the ferns, providing more food and helping the world gradually return to normal. 200,000 years later, the palm period was replaced by a period rich in nut-like plants. This increased the availability of nutritious food, leading to a threefold increase in species diversity. The largest mammals reached 25 kilograms, 55 pounds, the weight of a large beaver or gazelle. Evolution continued, and about 700,000 years later, beans appeared, which were crucial as protein sources for ancient mammals. This further increased the size and diversity of species. At this stage, the future rulers of the planet weighed more than 50 kilograms, 110 pounds, similar to a large modern cheetah. Ancient mammals were 100 times heavier than their fern-era ancestors, and less than 1 million years had passed, a short time for evolution. The oceans recovered more slowly. Scientists estimate it took about 3 million years for the flow of organic material to return to normal, and new species filled the vacant ecological niches. Paleontologists consider birds to be one of the few surviving dinosaur lineages. Non-avian dinosaurs died out, but some lizards adapted. Birds' ability to dive, swim, or seek shelter in water and swamps likely helped them survive. Many bird species build nests on the ground, aiding their ancestors in coping with the surrounding horrors. Ultimately, life on Earth returned to normal. Over time, evolution led to the emergence of humans. Without the asteroid impact, human evolution might not have occurred. But what if such a disaster struck again? Most of humanity likely wouldn't survive another impact from space, but our planet would eventually recover. Life goes on. Despite these events happening tens of millions of years ago, scientists know a lot about them today, thanks to fossils and various earth and rock samples. For example, from the bones of ancient mammals and lizards, scientists have learned when the age of dinosaurs ended. It took a long time to figure this out. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the bell to receive timely notifications of new interesting videos.